Hey guys, it's Danny B. You can probably tell by the way my voice sounds, I'm feeling pretty sick, but the show must go on. Welcome to Danny B Needs a Minute. Now, the first bit of news I want to discuss this week is that we found out that ARCA will not be returning to Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway next year. As sad as that is to me, because that was like the only big racing really that came around to the fairgrounds besides their annual All-American 400. It's kind of sad. I never got a chance to go see ARCA, and now they're not coming back. In sponsorship news, we found out that Smithfield and Stewart Haas Racing have agreed to an extension of a number 10 car, so it looks like Eric Almirola's ride should be secure for at least a little while. Last week, the NASCAR iRacing Championship happened, and young Zach Novak went on to win the 2019 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
Opportunity. The 6 has got a block. He'll look high down to the inside. Side by side for the race lead in the final quarter at Homestead. Novak will squeeze on the outside. And for the first time, Zach Novak is the new NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series champion.
Wow, what a race there. Keegan Leahy did everything he could. The 25-year-old, there you go, on board with Zach Novak. The 17-year-old just won $40,000. Relief, excitement, Steve. I mean, I can't believe that moment.
He looked so stoic for 140 laps, but now you see the emotion of the moment. The emotion coming over him, and what a race. What a clean race, side by side, door to door. Looks like he's holding back the emotion. The driver of the 6 with his 4th win in 2019.
I'd say that's the family coming in too.
I love it.
That's awesome.
And for how able he was to be focused throughout this race, guys, he was stone cold looking at him, nothing, totally locked in. To see this emotion, what a big moment, and what a call as well to that team for making this pick. When Zach Novak was selected in the draft by Roush Fenway, he was the number 10 pick. So they got a really good steal in picking this driver, sticking with him, and you can see the emotion, the biggest moment of his not only sim racing career, we mentioned that as well. He's got 4 quarter-minute championships. There's the burnout as Zach Novak is on top of the mountain as an officially sanctioned NASCAR champion, and that comes again with that $40,000 prize.
17-year-old from Connecticut. He's won championships in quarter midgets, but now he's at the professional level.
He did so racing for Roush Fenway, and this is just an amazing thing to see. The guy was only 17 years old. How about that? Now, since I did say that ARCA will not be returning to Nashville earlier this year, we did find out the complete official ARCA Menards 2020 series schedule. It goes Daytona, Phoenix, Salem, Talladega, Charlotte, Mid-Ohio, Michigan, Joliet, Pocono, IRP, Elko, Iowa, Gateway, Madison, Watkins Glen, DuQuoin, Bristol, Memphis, and Kansas. At Talladega this past weekend, Paul Menard was suffering from some neck pain, and Matt Crafton, the Menard-sponsored Truck Series driver, was on standby to relieve him at Talladega. He would end up going in and completing the race on Monday after the race had been rescheduled. Before the Talladega Cup Series race, we already knew that Richard Childress would be driving Dale Earnhardt's last win car, but what we actually ended up seeing was Richard Childress driving, and Bass Pro Shops CEO and founder Johnny Morris was in the passenger seat with him. Johnny Morris and Bass Pro Shops was a longtime supporter of Dale Earnhardt and Richard Childress Racing, so it only makes sense that this man would want to be a part of something this big. Ross Chastain had a big announcement this week. Even though he's still hoping to win the Truck Series Championship with Nice Motorsports this year for 2020, this is something that people kind of thought was going to happen, but now it's been confirmed. He will be driving a full-time car for Kaulig Racing in 2020. In the Truck Series race at Talladega, we saw a very controversial finish as Riley Herbst was looking to pass Johnny Sauter for the win at the end of it, and he actually had the right move going, but Johnny Sauter threw the block and sent both of them down below the WL line. Riley Herbst did lift up to not crash crush him, but doing this dropped him back to about 4th place, and it ended up being that Spencer Boyd would finish 2nd in the race, but because of the block that Johnny Sauter did, NASCAR did disqualify Johnny Sauter's win and gave the win over to Spencer Boyd, as Spencer Boyd won his very first NASCAR Truck Series race. So, congratulations Spencer Boyd. I hate it for Riley Herbst. Hopefully he'll be able to get some redemption at one point. Saturday evening following the Truck Series action, there was a fire actually in the Cup Series garage, and it was reportedly coming from the Rick Ware Racing team. Emergency crews did respond to this and put out the fire, but still a scary situation in Talladega. On Sunday, I was actually down at Talladega for the race, but we only got to see 57 laps before rain would start right at the end of stage number 1. While William Byron was able to win stage 1, later after that, during the rain delay, Team Chevy was having a meeting, and actually Jim Campbell, the Vice President of Performance and Motorsports for Chevrolet, well, news got out of something that he said, and he didn't like the fact that Chevys were racing 3 wide during this race. He didn't like that. He wanted a single file line of Chevys. Needless to say, a lot of people didn't like that. I don't even think the drivers really liked that. But they did try it on Monday when the race restarted, and it didn't go too well for them. A lot of the Chevys ended up crashing. I think that's just some karma right there. One of the most talked about crashes that happened over at Talladega was the one that, unfortunately, my guy Alex Bowman did cause, and he actually did take the blame for it. He said on Twitter, "That one's on me, didn't realize how fast the 22 was coming, and shouldn't have attempted to block that big of a run. Sorry to those involved, gotta go win Kansas now." Yeah. You really do now. You almost did earlier, but you have to win this one. The other big crash that happened this weekend was a multi-car incident towards the end of the race, which actually saw the 62 of Brendan Gaughan, who doesn't show up at maybe just 4 races a year, all super speedway races, but his car ended up going over and doing a complete flip and landing back on all 4s before continuing to crash through the field. Gaughan was okay, and he even said in post-race interviews that flipping the car is really nothing. It doesn't hurt as much as just a head-on collision to the wall. Like, he says he feels a lot safer when a car will flip than he would just going straight into the wall, and I can agree. That's exactly the case of it. It hurts a lot more taking a sudden impact to the wall than it does pretty much feel like you're floating for the air, you know, when you're doing a flip. Once they got that cleaned up, it was time for the restart, and we would see an incredible battle to the end as we saw Ryan Blaney in the lead, and then we saw a huge run coming from Ryan Newman, and Newman was actually able to pass Ryan Blaney at the end of it, but coming through the trioval, even though Ryan Newman had the lead, Ryan Blaney gave him just enough of a touch, got him to go up the racetrack, but then he brought him back down a little bit, but back onto the track, both of them side by side, and Ryan Blaney just barely edged out Ryan Newman. I think of just such the irony of this one. You saw 2 guys named Ryan fighting for the lead. One of them first started his career in that 12 car, the other one drives it today. Incredible. You can't script a better finish than that. Ryan Blaney gets his 3rd win of his career at Talladega, and he advances into the round of 8. How cool is that? And speaking of Ryan Blaney, this is a good transition, I guess. We actually found out he's got a new paint scheme for this weekend at Kansas, as Dickies Pants has partnered up with Menards to sponsor him this weekend. He'll be running a blue car with the Menards paint scheme. Actually, it looks like it's more of the Menards paint scheme from last year, but they'll be running it as a blue paint scheme with the Dickies logo on the front of it. So this should be a pretty nice car to see. Very unique. We haven't seen Dickies in the sport since like 2004, so that's pretty cool to see. Now, this last news story, I literally found out last second. This happened on Tuesday night in Charlotte. Strange things happening over at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. I don't know if this has something to do with climate change and the weather, or what the deal might be that's causing this. Hundreds of birds killed themselves when they flew into the windows of the NASCAR Hall of Fame on Tuesday night. I don't know what might have caused this, but it's really weird to see, especially, you know, in a place like, you know, the NASCAR Hall of Fame. I don't know if it has something to do with the changing seasons or what may be the cause of this. It's weird. And on that note, since we don't know if this may have something to do with climate change or something like that, let's talk about weather, I guess. I'm feeling under the weather, but what will the weather be like this weekend when we go to Kansas? I know one thing. Last week, it looked like it would be sunny at Talladega this time last week. It definitely wasn't. So hopefully I'm not wrong this time. This is DannyB Weather, and it is brought to you once again by our friends over at Footy. Make sure to go to their website, and if you want to order your footy, you can use code DannyB to get free shipping. Highly recommend it, guys. At Kansas this weekend, we will see highs mostly staying in the 70s and lows about in the 50s, maybe even the high 40s. And overall this weekend, we'll only see about a 20% chance of rain on Saturday and Sunday, and we should see partly cloudy and mostly sunny skies. So according to what I see right now, it should be good weather for racing, but as we found out at Talladega, that will be subject to change. And that's going to do it for this installment of DannyB Needs a Minute. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to go try to feel better. Bye, guys.